All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. I'll get this turned off. Cool beans. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the continuation of Science of Getting Rich. There is an exact science. I've been a studier of this, a student of this for the last 20 years at least, probably 23 years. I don't think there's new words in this book because this is the same book I had back then. But sometimes it just seems to hit differently. Further use of the will, chapter 10. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Do I have everything right? Yep. We're live on YouTube. Good. Here we go. Further use of the will. You cannot retain a true and clear vision of wealth if you are constantly turning your attention to opposing pictures, either external or imaginary. I just love how he just comes out swinging. The reason so many people struggle is because there's so many things to struggle with. If you pick one thing, it matters not what that one thing is. If you pick one thing, it will work. What'll happen is that as you become more and more aware of the one thing and what does and doesn't work for you, whoa, okay, that happened. My mic just fell apart after 2,000 plus episodes. No, there's a little pin fell out of it. And y'all can still hear me. That didn't turn off my volume. So the idea that you cannot retain a true and clear vision of your wealth if you are constantly turning your attention to opposing pictures, either externally or imaginary. Now, when he says opposing, he just means something different than your wealth picture. If that is not burning, right? Deep burning desire, if that hasn't burned a path, a light, a vision, a clarity inside of that brilliant brain of yours, if that's not the first thing you think when you wake up, you are delaying your success. It's literally that simple. And being able to use your will is what causes you to be able to have to think. 1% of the population think, I made these statistics up. 1% think, 2% think they think. The other 97% would rather die than think. And you are being asked with the science of getting rich to be able to impart your image into the thinking stuffs, into the thinking substance. Don't tell others of your past financial troubles. In order for them to understand that, oh man, I was broke, I was this, I was that. In order for them to understand that, do they not have to create a picture in their mind? Aren't they creating a picture of in their mind of what that poverty looks like? And if law of attraction, the law of energy says if you are speaking about poverty and other people have to understand the poverty by the pictures they create, could their picture be worse than your picture? Could they have suffered more than you? And this is, well, yeah, but you want to hear about bad. And then we wind up in telling these stories of how horrible things were. And guess what? The energy, the frequency that you're vibrating in is one of poverty. Yeah, but people need to know about me. They don't need to know that. That's your choice. Don't tell anyone about your poverty of your parents. Wait, what? Or the hardships of your early life. To do any of these things is to mentally class yourself with the poor for the time being. And this will certainly check the movement of things in your direction. It is written, let the dead bury the dead. Put poverty and all things that pertain to poverty completely behind you. But how am I supposed to do that? It's the struggle story that I tell. No, it's the identity you refuse to leave. You have anticipated a certain theory of the universe as being correct and are resting all your hopes of happiness on it being correct. What can you gain by giving heed to conflicting theories? Do not read religious books which tell you that the world is soon coming to an end. Do not read the writings of muckrakers and pessimistic philosophers who tell you that it is going to the devil. The world is not going to the devil. It is going to God. It is a wonderful becoming. True, there may be good things exist in existing conditions which are disagreeable. True, there may be good things in existing conditions which may be disagreeable. But what is the use of studying them when they are certainly passing away, and when the study of them only tends to check their passing and keep them with us? Why give time and attention to things which are being removed by evolutionary growth when you can hasten their removal only by promoting the evolutionary growth as far as your part of it goes? You are in an evolutionary growth right now with your DMP in place and your wants and your visions and your goals in place. You are part of evolving. You are going to do more, become more. You are literally transforming yourself. You are part of the evolutionary growth. And the second you talk about poverty, you talk about what was, what you don't have, what you couldn't do, what you can't do, what you're not good enough. You check the evolutionary growth that is yours and yours alone. No matter how horrible the apparent conditions may be in certain countries, sections, or places, you waste your time and destroy your own chances by considering them. Well, I like to be informed. That's not informed. That's taking on identity. If it gets you emotionally charged, and it is different than the charge you want from your DMP, the goals you want from your DMP, the feeling you want from your DMP, you are distracting and distracting and conflicting energies in your body. Well, I can't just be all myopic and utopic about my goals. Let me know how that works out for you. You should interest yourself in the world's becoming rich. Think of the riches of the world. Think of the riches the world. Think of the riches the world is coming into. Instead of poverty, it is growing out of. Think of the world with the riches it's coming into, not the poverty it's growing out of. And bear in mind that the only way in which you can assist the world in growing rich is by growing rich yourself through the creative method, not the competitive one. Give your attention wholly to riches. Ignore poverty. Whether you think or speak of those who are poor, think and speak as those who are becoming rich, and those who are to be congratulated rather than pitied. Hill says, every problem comes with the seed of its own solution. Every poverty comes with the seed of its own richness. Every richness comes with the seed of its own poverty. Everything has the seed of its opposite. This is literally the reason that this book is not more spoken of, is because it puts the burden on you. And in order for somebody to promote this book, it's kind of a little secret book. It's called The Little Green Book. The reason that it's spoke of in such quiet places and small communities is because if you have read this book and you are struggling and not rich, it's going to be hard for you to promote this to somebody else because you have not followed the rules of the program. And so if the program is there and the rules are there and I don't follow them, how apt am I to share the rules? I don't think they work, right? That's what somebody's saying if they're not rich. Yeah, I read that book. I don't, yeah. They didn't follow the rules. They didn't follow the science. They didn't do the thinking. Give your attention wholly to riches. Ignore poverty. Whether you think or speak of those who are poor, speak of them as those who are becoming rich, and those who are to be congratulated rather than pitied. Then they and others will catch the inspiration and begin to stretch and search for a way out. Because I say that you are to give your whole time and mind to the thought of riches, it does not follow that you are to be sordid or mean. I don't talk about poverty. Poverty makes me poor. You don't need to be sordid or mean. Because I say to become really rich is the noblest aim you can have in life because it includes everything else. On the competitive plane, the struggle to get rich is a godless scramble for power over other people. Yet when you come into the creative mind, all that changes. All that is possible in the way of greatness and soul unfoldment of the service and lofty endeavor comes by way of getting rich. All is made possible by the use of things. If you do not have physical health, you will find that its attainment is conditional on you getting rich. Only those who are emancipated from financial worry and who have the means to live a carefree existence and follow hygienic practices can have and retain health. Moral and spiritual greatness is only possible for those who are above the competitive battle for existence. And only those who are becoming rich on the plane of creative thought are free from degrading influences of competition. If your heart is set on domestic happiness, remember that love flourishes best where there is refinement, a high level of thought, and freedom from corrupting influences. These are to be found only where riches are attained without strife or rivalry by the exercise of creative thought. I repeat, you can aim at nothing so noble or so great or noble as to become rich. You must fix your attention upon your mental picture of riches, to the exclusion of all that may tend to dim and obscure your vision. You must fix your attention upon the mental picture of your riches, to the exclusion of all that may tend to dim or obscure your vision. You must learn to see the underlying truth in all things. You must see beneath the seemingly wrong conditions the great one life ever moving forward toward fuller expression and more complete happiness. You must learn to see the underlying truth in all things. You must see beneath all seemingly wrong conditions the great one life ever moving forward toward fuller expression and more complete happiness. It is the truth that there are no such things as poverty. It is the truth that there is no such thing as poverty. There is only wealth. Some people remain in poverty because they are ignorant of the fact that there is wealth for them. Let that one settle into your pipe. Some people remain in poverty because they are ignorant of the fact that there is wealth for them. Question: is it possible for everybody to become healthier? Is it possible for everybody to become wealthier? So if it's possible for everybody to become wealthier, everybody to become healthier, where's the limitation? If it exists, is it possible? Remember possibility, actions, results, belief. Is it possible for people to become richer? Then it's their ignorance of how to acquire and access the possibility. It's because of their beliefs. Possibilities, actions, results, belief. Their belief is limiting their possibility, which is awareness. And if they're not aware of it, they are literally ignorant of it. These people can best be taught by showing them the way to affluence in your own person and practice. Others are poor because they feel there is a way that others are poor because while they feel there is a way out, they are too intellectually indolent to put forth the mental effort necessary to find the way and travel it. And for those people, and for these people, the very best thing you can do is to arouse their desire by showing them the happiness that comes from being rightly rich. Others are poor because while they have some notion of science, they have become so swamped and lost in a maze of metaphysical and occult theories, they do not know which road to take. They try a mixture of many systems and fail in all. For these, again, the very best thing to do is to show them the right way in your own person and your own practice. An ounce of doing is worth a pound of theorizing. The very best thing you can do for the whole world is to make the most of yourself. You can serve God and your fellow humans in no more effective way than by getting rich. That is, if you get rich by the creative method and not by the competitive one. Another thing, I'll assert that this book gives the details and the principles of the science of getting rich. You do not need to read any other book on the subject. This may sound narrow and egotistical. However, there is no more scientific method of computation in mathematics than by addition and subtraction, multiplication and division. No other method is possible. There can only be one shortest distance between 2 points. There's only one way to think scientifically, and that is to think in a way that leads by the most direct and simple route to the goal. No person has yet formulated a briefer or less complex than the one I am describing here. It has been stripped of all non-essentials. When you begin this method, lay all others aside. Put them out of your mind altogether. Read this book every day. Keep it with you. Commit it to memory. Do not think about other systems or theories. If you do, you will begin to have doubts and become uncertain and unwavering in your thought, and wavering in your thought. Then you will bring negative thought into the formless substance. After you have made good and become rich, you may study other systems as much as you please. Yet until you are quite sure that you have gained what you want, do not read anything else on the subject except the authors mentioned in the preface. Only read the most optimistic comments of the world's news, just those that are in harmony with your picture. Also, postpone your investigations into the occult. Do not dabble in theosophy, spiritualism, or kindred study. It is very likely that the dead still live and are near. But if they are, let them alone. Mind your own business. Whatever the spirits of the dead may be, wherever the spirits of the dead may be, they have their own work to do and their own problems to solve. We have no right to interfere with them. We cannot help them. It is very doubtful whether they can help us and whether we have any right to trespass upon their time if they can. Let the dead and the hereafter alone. Solve your own problem. Get rich. If you begin to mix with the occult, you will start mental cross currents, which will surely bring your hopes to shipwreck. Lastly, this and the preceding chapters have brought us to the following statement of basic facts. Here's the mantra. Here's the syllabus of the program. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which, in its original state, permeates and penetrates and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing imagined by the thought. A person can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon the formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. In order to do this, a person must pass from the competitive to the creative mind. He must form a clear mental picture of the things he wants. And he must hold this picture in his thoughts with the fixed purpose, the reason why, the fixed purpose to get what he wants, and the unwavering faith that he will get what he wants. Closing his mind against all that may tend to shake his purpose, dim his vision, and quench his faith. In addition to all this, we shall now see that he must live and act in a certain way. Chapter 10, Use of the Will. Questions, comments, thoughts? Such good stuff. Such good stuff. Good Morgan. Going once.
Good morning, Sean.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Brad Chambers.
So there's a part you read that jumped out to me. I think this would probably be what I learned.
Okay.
How are you, by the way?
Outstanding. Little chilly outstandingly.
Wow, it's cold. I didn't even go to the gym this morning. It's that cold. So you were talking or you reading about, it kind of jumped out at me this morning. Do not talk. I don't know the exact, I just caught her at the end, and you may know what I'm talking about, but do not speak or think of the broke mentality, your childhood. So you're looking for that. So if you see that jumped out at me.
Yep. So the reason that he's saying that, the very best thing you can do for the whole world is to get rich. Another thing is book details, compensation multiple.
Did before that, I think.
So the reason that you don't want to speak of the poverty is it creates the vibration. And
absolutely. I completely
Alexa stuff.
I see that differently now.
Yep.
And that's why it jumped out at me, because it made sense.
So in the awareness, here's where the change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. Part of that is, for what reason did you used to speak of the poverty or the childhood or the abuse or the this or the that?
Victim, being a victim.
Okay, so now what happens to the victim when you no longer speak of it through those eyes? The victim really becomes the victim. I'm not even talked about anymore. Until or unless you love the victim and say, thank you for teaching me and getting me this far.
Absolutely.
That's where people never get off the struggle bus, is they do not become aware of the shift of the identity of the thing they spoke about gave them an identity, even if it's one they don't want. We know people who have horrible relationships, and they have them time after time after time after time after time. We know people who they're infidelis. I don't know if that's a word, but they have infidelity. Well, that's not, we were just, it was just a book. Okay. They haven't given up that identity to say, thank you, I no longer need you, because they're afraid if they say, I no longer need you, what happens to any addictive personality that comes back?
Wow, bro. Wow.
So these addictive personalities, we can push them in a corner. We can mentally get tough. We can mentally get strong, but it's not the strength that allows them to walk off into the wilderness. It's love. If you love something and let it go, it'll come back. But if you fight something and try to keep it away, it can't even leave.
Will you repeat that? I like to write that down.
Which part? The whole thing.
If you like it, if
So
you let it
if you
go.
love something, you let it go, it might come back, right? We say that we tell that to kids when they let go of the bird they fixed. Well, you got to let it go. If you love it, it'll come back, and sometimes it does come back. But if you fight it to keep it hidden, it can never leave because you have to have the fight. And that is our personality. Mason knows that I get a little goofy if I drink too much. It takes a lot to drink too much, but I've been known to drink too much.
Hmm.
And it's not that I don't know. There's a part of me that becomes goofy and this, that, or the other. That's not the part of me that is the rich part of me. So I just don't drink a whole lot. I'll buy beer and put it in the cooler in the summer, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so good. And the ice will have melted and mold will be in the water, and I've never opened a beer. But the part of me that bought it goes, oh, this is gonna, oh man, could you imagine? A Guinness, oh, a cold Guinness, oh, that's gonna be so good. Some Shiner Bock, oh, ice cold. I go to open a thing and it's like, ooh, how long have these been in here? Because in the environment of the beer aisle, I become the beer addict. So when we put ourselves into situations where our addiction can show up, I love energies. I love frequencies. I love smart. I love funny. I love beautiful women. The challenge is that sometimes my affection for the energy that resides in that soul is seen differently because I know how to give attention and affection in a way that is just gracious and loving. And sometimes that's misconstrued. So I don't do that anymore.
Well, that's a lesson I needed to learn and hear. Wow. Wow. I think you just read right into my heart, man. Dang.
And then therefore, Michelle would have words with me saying, she knows me. She knows my heart. She goes, I know you don't mean it, but they don't see it that way. I'd be like, what are you kidding? And I realized it was hurting her.
Can I be vulnerable on your
Sure.
show here?
Sure.
So I'm recovering from an emotional affair myself
Okay.
because of that. Because I put myself in a situation where I can relate, I can talk about the awareness, I can understand on a whole nother level. And that is easily misunderstood and misreceived and can become very messy very fast.
And talking about and saying it's not messy, make it, that's the competitive mind. When we say, well, it's not really that, that's the competitive mind.
Oh, absolutely.
No, I'm just saying, and therefore it's the resistance shows up, and then there ain't nobody winning that battle.
Absolutely. So, I mean, everything you're saying is 100%. Yeah, exactly.
Possible. It's 100% possible.
Oh, yeah.
And so if that's true, with the seed of every opportunity comes its opposite.
Mm-hmm. The law of polarity.
Yep. Law of polarity.
Yeah.
Energy is change the way we look at things, and the things we look at change.
You
Doing
have to
things
be
in a
careful with this
certain way.
knowledge and awareness, sir.
No.
You can't play with it. Seriously, I've learned to play with it, and it's scary.
Oh, yeah. There's no it doesn't play well. Let's put it that way.
No, and it's very put you in your place.
It will have a tendency to bring you to a level of awareness much faster, snap you into place.
Yeah.
good, bad, or indifferent. It snaps you into the energy. It snaps you into the underlying energy. You ever paint a car and you just paint it over rust? Many people live their life that way. They never do the
Mhm.
priming. They never do the surface preparation. And what we're all doing to go give ourselves a coat of paint is surface preparation. And I don't have time for that. Just give me the thing. Give me the script.
So much deeper, man. In this book, Science of Getting Rich is helps to me to put it into perspective now and have that understanding so I can go back and listen to it. Like if I have a moment where I know I need something and I don't know what it is and I'm driving whatever, but I need to to shift my thinking, I go to that Science of Getting Rich and just start listening to 7, 4, and 14 and just focus on gratitude. And not one time has it not worked. Not one time.
Dang it.
No, it's not, dang it. It's amazing. Like I don't get surprised about how things happen any longer. It just goes going with the flow and understanding that there's a thinking stuff. And I have that thinking stuff.
And you have access to it.
And I have access to that.
And everybody has access to it. They just choose not to become aware of it. And therefore they blame it instead of them, because the only thing it can think about is what we put into it.
And that statement right there that you just made, I make sense, but would piss me off to your degree. I mean, because I'm like, dude, I'm not freaking choosing not to. Like, I don't understand.
Well, that's
Like,
a
I'm beating
choice.
my head up against the wall. I'm trying to figure this out. And you're like,
Trying is a
that's
good
your
thing. How's
problem.
that?
That's
Trying,
your
how's
problem.
that
How's that
working
working
for
out
you?
for you? It's like, dude. And I'd get off the call with you and be like, man, I'm not getting on there tomorrow. This is just me torturing myself. Talk about putting yourself in a place where you're just gonna, and yeah, I ain't gonna take over your show here, but
No, but
there's
this
a
is
lot.
good. This is good stuff, because we can say emotional affair, emotional infidelity. It's always emotional infidelity. You think about your poverty versus your riches, and you become emotional about it. It is an emotional infidelity.
Mhm.
And think about this. If it draws our attention, isn't it sexy?
Mhm.
So this one, it might happen to be a figure that we can look at it and go, oh, that's pretty hot. Yeah, I wouldn't be messing with that fire. But we still mess with the same fire of our poverty, of our lack, of our doubt, of our I don't understand this. That's our sexy person that we get to go. But look at how it's it's the harmed child that we get to look at all the time and go, yeah, but we should feel sorry for him. Screw that. They got you here. Einstein said the problems that are made with the mind of man cannot be solved by the same mind that created them. Translation: the thinking that got you here can't get you out of here. And we choose to keep thinking what got us here. Oh, why am I so stupid? The one that got you here is the silly one. The one that's going to get you out of here is the brilliant one. Why not say, why am I so brilliant? Well, that doesn't make sense. Welcome to the club. You are all about to enter into a journey that you've never been. The only reason you didn't freak out this morning when you woke up from your bed on a spinning earth, traveling through space with a sun that's in its place and Jupiter in its place, and I'm going to be a seventh grader. Uranus is right where it's supposed to be. Uranus.
Mhm.
The reason you're not freaking out is because you said, okay, I recognize the pattern. And thank God, God put some universal laws in place that says gravity is gravity and speed is speed, and the thing untouched will stay moving until it is touched, and the thing that is at rest will stay at rest. The sun is going to rise in the east, and we can predict exactly where it's going to be on the horizon at exactly what time, and we can't figure out what we want for lunch because we want to say, I don't know. Have you lost your mind? I hope so. I can't wait for you all to lose your mind.
Mm. I definitely lost my mind, Sean.
Well, and maybe you've picked a little of it back up, and time to lose that again.
Hmm. Yeah, it's ever evolving. Thank God for ketones.
And in the ever evolving, you may want to check out. Have I told you about methylene blue?
Uh, I'm
Go
on meth, but I don't know about methylene blue.
go check out methylene blue. Look at what it does for brain trauma. I've been on it now for a month. And the other thing I'll offer you is black seed oil. That tastes that you need to drink that with it. Put it in your mouth, leave it under your tongue, drink it with something else because that has got to be good for you. Because it's got to, and Michelle goes, if you're saying it's nasty, it has, I'm sure I'll become more accustomed to it. But methylene blue, oh my God, that stuff is beyond.
Where does it come from?
It's actually a dye from 1893. They used to use it to dye clothing. They still use it, but what they're finding is that the way that what it does is for the antioxidants in the body, and it speeds up the mitochondria, and it actually drops the free radicals 4 layers deep through all of the layers of the mitochondria and gives you unbelievable, clean, pure energy. It's pretty powerful.
Interesting.
Yeah, so go Google methylene blue. The reason I got it was the guy who turned me onto it, Greg Chambers, maybe. I have to look it up. But he's the uh he's the psyops guy to understand how the brain works for the military.
Okay.
And he was having temporal seizures for 3 years.
Oh wow.
And they last about 90 seconds. But in those 90 seconds, you get 2 to 3 years of downloads of memories that aren't real in 90 seconds. And then at the end of the 90 seconds, you have amnesia, but you still have all the memories. You forget. He didn't know for 3 years he was having a temporal lobe seizure until he saw himself on a Zoom and he just went. And he saw himself and he goes, I'm having a temporal lobe seizure. How the hell long has this been going on? And figured out it was almost 3 years. His family was in chaos. Everything in his life was in chaos because he had these memories he believed to be true, and none of them were true. He got on methylene blue. He saw this doctor on Instagram with the beads and everything else and the long hair. He's like, this guy's got to be a nut job. But he said a couple of things that related to brain chemistry. He goes, wait a minute, that's exactly what I'm going through. Made an appointment, had a conversation. Sometimes they'll IV the methylene blue. So he went for IVs. And inside of 9 months, his brain almost rebuilt itself. Yeah. So I just offer that up as some, check out methylene blue. Now it will stain your tongue. And sometimes some mornings you might see me, right? My tongue will be, why is his tongue blue? That's why it's methylene blue.
Interesting.
Yeah. I get mine from Amazon. I love it. Oh, and now it has a very metal taste because your body needs it, but it's and funny thing is I've talked about it at a couple of my masterminds, and one woman I know who has serious brain trauma, brain issues. I don't think she ever had the trauma. I don't know that she ever had a head injury, but she's been on it for 2 years. I'm like, are you kidding me? Why are you keeping this a secret? I'm going to tell everybody. Well, it's kind of, it's if you, she tries to put it in little capsules because she doesn't like the taste of it. I'm like, put it under your tongue and go.
Mix it with something.
I leave it under my tongue so it goes into the glands there and it goes right into the brain.
Yeah, just suck it up.
Yep.
Take a cold shower.
Yep. with what I know that it does for me, I look forward to the fascinating taste. Black seed oil, I'm not there yet. But black seed oil comes from Egypt. And here's what the pharaohs used to say about black seed oil. The pharaohs. So it's been around a while. This cures everything but death. And this, the methylene blue, is where the term magic bullet came from. So you take the magic bullet, the thing that cures everything but death. Well, you might have a good start to a wellness regimen. But just check it out for yourself.
Yeah,
No
absolutely.
claims. I
Thank you
make
for
no
that.
claims.
Thank you for that. Well, thank you for all you do, Sean, for
I love you, brother.
this book. It's very, very helpful and beneficial. So
It is.
love you,
Cool,
bro.
cool, cool. Love you, man. Let's go to Serbia. AJ in the house.
Hey, good morning, guys. So good to see you. So good to see you all. Finally, had some things to do.
Good.
Um, certain things are put in certain motion.
No.
Yes, and it's just good. What I had as imagery, as you were talking was, and I just want to check if this is it.
Sure.
Um, you know how I recently talked about, I started to think in a certain way, and for example, just a minor example, I don't think about not wanting to be late anymore. I think about wanting to get there on time, right? And stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and compounded with the fact that interactions recently have become so much more wholesome and so much just better overall. Is this what the chapter was talking about?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was so
That's awesome.
how is it possible that interactions are getting better?
I just think that I put more energy into it, or
So here's a question. From where they were to where they are now, they're better.
yeah,
From where they are now, could they get even betterer?
betterer. I think they could.
So if they could, then what is it going to take? Does the better conversation already exist?
I know it does.
So if it does, then all it is about being in the vibration of the better conversation.
You might be onto something here, huh?
No. It's not true.
It is true. True story, folks. It's I mean it's so good.
The
The
conversations you're having now, was the potential for them in existence?
yes,
Okay. Are worse conversations available?
yes.
What makes them so?
My choice to have them.
Your
Okay,
awareness. Because if they're always could a conversation from between us right now get very nasty and mean?
it could.
It could.
Knowing you and me,
It could.
good.
What are the chances of that happening?
Slim to none.
So if they exist, then it's our desired dedication to better, not to more, to better.
Oh, I see.
It takes listening, it takes participation, it takes dialogue, not monologues that bump into each other. So imagine the next conversation. If you sit in awareness and think of some of your relationships and then 10x them to the good, what would that feel like? What would your high level of creative thinking open up the faucet, open up the valve for them to allow to flow into their life? Be aware. Here's something for all of you to be aware of. How many people are getting new ideas simply because they're around you? Yeah, I was just downloaded for that, mostly for you, AJ, but for others as well. If you're hanging around people and like, I love talking, I get such good ideas around you, and you're like, I don't say shit. It's simply you are allowing the faucet of the creative mind to flow into their life, because you got to remember, most people are in the competitive mind. They're in the binary world, up, down, opposite world, in, out, hot, cold, yes, no. In the creative mind, well, let's look at what's possible. There is no yes, no because that's limiting conversation. Yes, no, up, down, in, out, binary. And most people live in a binary. You're coming, you're not coming. You're late, you're not late. We always have these identities. We have these labels, and labels are racist. What? Racism is I'm limiting you to a small, I've taken your humanity of great and limited to you're late. I say you're late, you're always late. That is a label of racism. You're a late person. You're an early person. Either way, any label causes us to minimize the humanity of whoever, whatever we're labeling. And therefore, in our ability, if we have influence over the universe, which everybody does, and if you understand this, as Brad said earlier, you got to use this for good. You can influence them and you can mark them, you can scar them with a label. Some of us have been labeled by our parents. Why aren't you like your cousin? How come you're not like your brother? Because my brother's 10 years older than me. How the hell am I supposed to be like my brother?
Freddy Krueger in the background. I I don't want to say I'm stuck. I want to say I'm still studying the first line in this whole series.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, you were, I mean, you were absolutely right when you said this is something you study, man. You take this home and you kind of soak it like a sponge. Uh, whatever maybe you said in praise of poverty, the fact remains that it's not possible living a real, complete, or successful life unless one is rich. I don't want to say stuck. I'm still studying this particular line
So
because,
would you say that over the last month and a half, you've become richer?
oh yeah, I've
So aren't you
become,
in the study of riches? And your life
yes,
has gotten better in the small journey you've made towards richness?
yes,
So what's not to
absolutely.
understand? It works.
Does
In
work.
in a
Oh, it
month and
does
a
work.
half, you've changed your entire personality in life and communication levels and skill levels and who's with you and who's not with you. You've been able to do things and give to charities and give to people you've never been able to give to before, change the things because your mission is to make sure there's no tears on Serbian kids' pillows. I'd say you're doing a pretty freaking amazing job. A lot of people talk about it, few ever walk the walk. So what's the confusion?
I wouldn't say confusion. I'd say just feeling good about it and,
Okay, but
just soaking up
so
the,
so go ask for the food back you gave to the families.
well, it's probably going to be a challenge. They ate it.
Well, ask them to pay you for it. Would you want to
Oh,
do that?
that's, no.
Then why? Then so you don't want to feel bad. Why don't you want to feel bad?
Because that's not in alignment and that's not gonna,
So then, what's it going to take to be in alignment with feeling good?
I become aware how I love it. I love that fact and I want to have more of it, and that's it. That's the only
What?
awareness
So
I need.
what? The one of you that is going to feel good and want to feel good and is feeling good. What are you afraid they're going to find out?
Stupid they are for feeling bad. I don't know. I mean,
So is
it's
that your fear that you're going to make them feel bad?
no.
Is some of your language making them aware of their wrong thinking?
That may be the case, I think.
So what if you could offer them, this is what it says. Don't hang around people in poverty, speak of their riches. Talk about all these people becoming rich, not how they're staying poor, not how they're feeling bad, how they can feel great about being around you.
I think that's what I've been doing for the past month and a half without even knowing it.
Unconsciously.
Yeah, yeah, unconscious. That's the word I'm looking for.
Now,
So
what happens
I
if you
think
have a conscious thought that says, when I go to the there, I'm just my world is going to be freaking amazing. And everybody who steps into it, I'm going to love them beyond like they've never been loved before. See, you're having these unconscious thoughts and the awareness of how fat, and you're looking at it from the outside. Look at it from the inside. Oh my God, he's different. He's healing faster. He's doing all these things faster. And the reporter doesn't have any information on this new version of you. But on the inside, you have all the information. This has been a 23-year journey. Thank you very much.
Yeah. 5 of which with you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, talking about my journey with you, I had lunch. Actually, sorry, I had brunch with a friend of mine, and we have a special kind of relationship. He has always been like a big brother to me. We played football together before. He was a linebacker. I played D line, and we always had this special relationship. And we had brunch the other day, and we talked about. I mean, we always talk about automatically rich stuff. That makes sense. We always talk about business and development, and we always talk about how good things are. And we talked about the things again, and I shared some of my input. He also found probably a Serbian version of you that he is in business with currently, but they have some kind of a consulting gig or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the guy isn't like trained for it. He's just like a good entrepreneur, so he has some personal development attached to the business, but he's
Right.
not a trade professional like you. So we kind of exchanged thoughts about it. I gave him a perspective on something. I told him to check out your channel, and I gave him a couple of links. And I think he started looking into the OS that's
Okay.
on YouTube, still available. And I told him, hey, listen, there's like 20 sessions, 2 hours plus each. I just want you to make sure that once you start looking at it, once you start watching it, dedicate at least a day because you're gonna get hooked immediately. And he was like, sure, okay, whatever. And then he calls me up this morning, and he's like, what the hell is this? And I'm like, that's who I do business with. That's who that's the guy. I have his phone number. I can call him day and night, ask him anything I want, and he's going to provide me with a solution that I already had. And it's just so good. And he was like, this is awesome. This is amazing. And I said, well, sucks to be you, Jimmy. So we had an awesome conversation. I just want to thank you for allowing me to see, helping me to, cross the gap in the past month and a half. And I know you're gonna say I did it and whatever, but I did do it, but I
Well,
did it with your help. So
so
I want to thank you.
here's something to use in your imagery, in your journaling. All of the bridges we need to cross are built. They can't not be built. They're already in existence. What allows us to go over the correct bridge is our awareness. Because if you're happy and somebody calls you and you get sad, you crossed over the sad bridge, the mad bridge, the pissed off bridge, the mad, whatever. You cross that, you make a decision to cross that bridge. So you're now crossing into the bridge that is less effort, more focus, less effort, faster results, more joyous results. And this formula doesn't add up. Every other bridge I've crossed in my entire life has caused pain. Now the pain I'm feeling is, am I worthy of receiving this love? Which is why I have the phrase, are you ready for the love? Where all of you are going, that one thing will keep you from the one thing. Love. Are you ready for the love? Are you ready to fall in love more with yourself? Are you ready to be loved more by people and not misconstrue it? When people say thank you to you, there's a bigger vibration, there's more gravity to their thank you versus this surface thank you. What if the next time you saw your friend, you said, hey, listen, I see you. I see you.
I did kind of say this to him when we had brunch because I offered him up to come to my business, and he said, "Hey, listen, thank you, but no, thank you. I found this, consulting gig. That's what I wanted for the past couple of years. I'm searching for it." And I said, "Okay, listen, if you want to do sales ever, come to us." And he's like a more of a marketer type of a guy. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And then, like I said, we just started talking, and he was excited for me, and I was excited for him. and it was just such a wholesome moment. And I just immediately thought of you, and that's why I brought you up. So we ended up talking about you as well. So you have some fans in Serbia apart from me. Have some more fans.
So do you know
Uh,
the phrase? Do you know the phrase of Jim Rohn about taking care of you?
I'll take care of me for you, and you'll take care of you for me.
So you could
Yeah.
say that to him next time.
JR is good. Oh, one more thing.
Yes.
Talking about awareness. One of my friends who just became a father today, by the way. I'm gonna go
Aw,
to the party
blessings. Mazel
later on
tov.
today. The guy that I used to live with in Dubai. We used to live together, and him and we have this inside joke that when something bad happens, in English it would translate to, for example, let's say we're driving down the road and the car breaks down, and we would come out the car and we'd say, well, at least the car didn't break down, and then we start laughing. And I've been using that a lot lately. If something bad happens, throughout the day, I always say, well, at least, and then I say what happened, and I start laughing. And then my new lady, the new one I got, I get um, she had some car trouble, and she saw me do this a couple of times with her already. Like we would be late for something or whatever, and I'm saying, well, at least we're not late, ha ha ha, right? And I just started laughing, and she's like, are you crazy? And I'm like, well, whatever. At least I'm not crazy, right? And so on. And and then she had some car trouble. Her brakes failed or something, and she hit another car on the parking lot in front of the beauty parlor and made a small dent. I mean, it's nothing serious. And then
Right.
she calls me up. She's crying. She's like, "Oh, my brakes failed or whatever." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, your car. At least your car didn't broke down, right?" Ha ha ha. And she just started laughing. She's like, F you, ha ha ha, whatever. And then we had lunch yesterday, and she says, I started doing that as well, and it's just making me feel so much better because it's kind of you're just able to brush off whatever the bad thing is that happened. You're just gonna brush it off immediately, and you don't care about it, and you just continue on with your life. And I said that's what I do. It started out as an inside joke, but it's actually a huge awareness for me now that I do pretty every day. Like every day, if something bad happens, obviously it will all the time. I mean, some shiitake happens, right? I just say, well, at least, and I say what happened, and I just laugh it off. I brush it off, and I just continue on with my day. So that's another big thing I started doing, and it feels awesome. So thank you.
And the more we stay in the positive, the more we reside in a particular energy, the more the universe can bring us that energy. Period. End of statement. There's people who are sad and they're mad, and that's their mood. That's their personality. Oh, don't go talk to John. John is he's always a jackhole on Tuesdays. Okay, don't talk to John on Tuesdays. Well, how can you predict that? Oh, that's his personality. So you're developing a mood that will become your personality. And then you'll find out that nothing ever seems to go astray or awry for you. There's opportunities to become fully aware. You want to, so here goes the sheep herder conversation. We were putting straw into the sheep's areas. So I love Gizmo. Gizmo and me have a unique relationship. Nobody else has a relationship I have with Gizmo. So I'm stuffing hay inside of his pallets, and so that the wind doesn't blow through his pallets, and so that he's nice and warm. And he's got a nice little heat lamp in there, and he's got his head and his horns. Now I got hit by his horns once, probably 30% impact instead of the 100%. I was away enough, and it left a knot on my shin a good 2 inches. So he was just playing. He's a ram, like those ones you see in the movie, kabam, right? So he's got his head underneath my arm, and he's forcing me to pay attention to him. And I'm okay with that. And I rub him and I give him kisses and we talk and I go, what are you doing? And his tail's just a going. And then he wants to play. I'm like, dude, I can't play right now. I'm fixing your room. I need to fix your room. He didn't care. So we went and played. Sometimes the distraction was to get me focused. And what it reminded me is that I might have been getting a little frustrated with stuffing this in and got to do this. And where's Mason? And I was finding fault with so many different things that Gizmo went, stop being a jackhole. Let's go play. So we went and played for about 5 minutes. And then I crawled back in and he just came right underneath and put his head under my arm. I go, okay, thank you. He's like, I got you. So don't let the distraction keep you from what it's attracting you to. Is it taking you to a higher level? Is it I knew that I was going to go out and laugh my butt off because I can't not play with him the way he wants to play and not keep laughing. Go, what are you doing? Because he'll jump up, do his Ferrari move, and he'll all of these things, and he'll always stop just short of me and barely hit me, even though it looks like he's just going to knock the snot out of me. And I can't, my sides hurt from laughing so hard with this. And I don't know why. So I had to ask myself, why would I not want to go laugh right now? And then I went and laughed, and it was funner than I thought. So just be aware of what happens if I go do this? And that's what I asked. I go, so Gizmo, what happens if I go out and play with you? You going to hit me or are we just going to laugh? And his head tilted. He's like, hit you? I'm like, oh, okay, let's go laugh. And he got outside and he was. So be aware that when you get pulled into a new awareness, ask, is this a limiting or an expanding belief? At least the car didn't break down. Because it could have broke down worse, right? I know worse is not a word. She could have hit the car harder. There could have been somebody in between her and the car. Well, at least you didn't hit a car. But, well, you could have hit it worse, right? So everything could be worser. Everything could be betterer. You have a choice. Sadhguru says in this moment, choose joy or misery. Everything is your responsibility. Her hitting the car was your responsibility. Your ability to respond. Nice work, Skippy.
Thank you,
Anyone
thank
else? You're welcome.
Worser and better. Okay, that's
Worser and
the in
better.
English.
Anyone else? Last thoughts, comments, questions, takeaways.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, brother.
So, yeah, as you can hear, I haven't been well. I haven't been well for the last month or two, and so it's kind of limited what I've been able to do. But I'm going to try to get back on here a little more often because this morning just sort of, this is just what I needed.
Good.
And I saw some of the comments. I thought to myself, isn't that interesting that Alex and I come back on the same day? So, but anyway, no, I've gone through some tests and stuff, and some of the stuff is coming back with not great results. So next Tuesday, I'm undergoing another procedure. So we'll, just asking for everybody's prayers and my mindset is one, almost like Alex said this morning, yeah, just kind of laugh it off. But anyway, we're gonna beat whatever it is and carry on because there's too much left to do. So
I agree. Well, glad you were
anyway,
here. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for bringing your energy
yeah,
to us. It put smiles on everybody. So
yeah,
know that that's putting smiles back into your world and receive them.
I am, and thank you.
Good, 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 good.
All right,
We love you, brother.
love you too.
Sending you light, love, and healing. All right, there you go, folks. There's your chapter 10, Science of Getting Rich. Find ways to